Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you're having a great weekend, and welcome to this Sunday update on Bitcoin. We're going to do a full update on what's going on with Bitcoin right now. Overall, it's been quite strong overnight. We had a bit of a bullish move right here. With some real volume, by the way, which is pretty significant over the course of the weekend, so that's quite interesting. But that was probably because of the peace talks between Ukraine and Russia. And obviously, this is not a politics channel, but I have to name these things and talk about it slightly, especially when the market, as it is right now, very reactive to news like that, right? I mean, for example, just before that, last week, the market also reacted very, very positively to the talks between the US and China, which are still ongoing. Right now, so got a bit of a move up, and ultimately Bitcoin at this point of time still looks very, very strong. My bias has to remain bullish. I mean, I've said this yesterday, but as long as we're holding at least this level right here, around 101,000 as support on the higher time frames, so that means that yes, on the lower time frames, we can have some deviations below that, and we're at the end of the weekend, we're starting a new week. Volatility is definitely to be expected, and next week we also have some news events that will cause volatility, so be aware of that. But technically, as long as we're holding that, I have to remain bullish, right? So that's also what I have right now, what I am right now. Now I could be a little bit critical on the lower time frames, and especially looking at the markets right now. Or looking at altcoins for now, there does seem to be a little bit more bearish pressure going into this new week. So therefore, I would also say, I have a slight bearish bias on Bitcoin on the lower time frames. But like I said, I mean, then we would drop down into this level right here at 102, 101,000, and as long as the fundamentals remain as what they are right now, I would say that's rather an area to look for a bounce and to look for a long opportunity, either on Bitcoin or on altcoins, than to wait for the level to break for a short opportunity. So yeah, but that's very low time frame price prediction, and that's very difficult to do, right? So the higher you go in time frames, the more predictable price becomes. But then you also, I mean, obviously, then you should take into account volatility. But all right, talking about some fundamentals right now. Last week they closed relatively good. It's going to be very interesting to see how gold and equities open. Unfortunately, gold is kind of negatively correlated to Bitcoin. So it's going to be interesting to see how much lower that opens, because I do think it's going to open lower after all the news we had over the course of the weekend. And it's going to be interesting how equities open, but that's we'll talk about a little bit more tomorrow. Quick heads up already is that next week, Tuesday, we have inflation rate and CPI data. I might be live streaming during that. I'll try to at least. But that is something you should know. This will definitely make the markets move. Perhaps not on the short term, but definitely on the long term. It's very important for monetary policy. So be aware of that. But for today, I mean, I still think, like I said, on the higher time frames for Bitcoin, the bias is bullish. We are still technically very strong. On the lower time frames, we are between this value area low right here around, let's say, 101,500 to give us a little bit more of a buffer around that area, and 106,000. Overnight, we hit the POC, which we spoke about yesterday as well. So that was a very reactive level as well, which makes me think that this value area, which I've retrieved back from January, is valid, right? So these are the two main levels to look at for Bitcoin for potential trades. So either a short like this or a long like this, right? So long here, short here. But right now, I would say therefore also that Bitcoin is within the chop, right? We're chopping within the middle of that range. And you should wait for expansion into the outer parts of the range for trades. But ultimately, my most likely prediction right now would be a pullback into the lower bounds, support from there, and then at least a move into the POC. But we'll see from there, and I'll definitely keep you updated on that, of course. But that's what I think you need to know for now. So if you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Enjoy your Sunday. It's beautiful weather here. Hopefully it's good wherever you are too. But that's it for now. So thank you for watching. Take care and bye.